Switzerland's climate inaction, a failure to uphold human rights, says Council of Europe. The Council of Europe's Committee of Ministers has delivered a stinging rebuke to the Swiss government, declaring its efforts to address climate change woefully inadequate and a blatant disregard for a landmark human rights ruling. This decisive rejection follows a year-long battle stemming from a groundbreaking decision by the European Court of Human Rights, ECHR, a verdict that sent shockwaves through international climate law and ignited a global conversation about environmental justice. The case, brought forward by Klimaseniorinnen, a powerful organization representing over 2,000 elderly Swiss women, hinged on a compelling argument. Climate change, and specifically the escalating threat of heat waves, directly infringes upon the fundamental human rights of its most vulnerable members. These women, disproportionately affected by extreme heat, argued that their rights to privacy and family life were being violated by the government's inaction on greenhouse gas emissions. The ECHR historic ruling, a first of its kind concerning climate change, acknowledged the validity of this claim. The judgment reverberated across all 46 Council of Europe member states, establishing a powerful precedent for future climate litigation and influencing environmental legal battles worldwide. It underscored the inextricable link between human rights and the climate crisis, setting a new benchmark for government responsibility in protecting citizens from the devastating impacts of global warming. However, Switzerland's response has been characterized by persistent resistance and a demonstrable lack of commitment to meaningful change. Despite the court's clear directive, the Swiss Federal Council dismissed the ruling, claiming its existing climate policies were sufficient. Instead of developing a comprehensive action plan as mandated by the ECHR, the government submitted a flimsy action report in October, a blatant attempt to circumvent the court's orders and avoid the necessary systemic reforms. The government's justification, that the judgment didn't require the setting of specific carbon budgets and that internationally recognized methodologies were lacking, rings hollow. This argument disregards the overwhelming scientific consensus on the urgent need for drastic emission reductions and ignores the innovative legal frameworks already emerging to address the climate crisis. It exposes a troubling pattern of prioritizing political expediency over the well-being of its citizens and the preservation of the planet. The Committee of Ministers, responsible for ensuring compliance with the ECHR judgment, meticulously reviewed Switzerland's inadequate response. While acknowledging some minor legislative adjustments, such as revisions to the CO2 Act and the setting of goals extending to 2030, the committee firmly concluded that these measures are insufficient to meet the court's demands. The government's actions fell significantly short of the comprehensive and ambitious action plan necessary to mitigate the severe health risks posed by climate change to the elderly and other vulnerable populations. The committee's decision is a stark reminder of the accountability demanded of nations in upholding fundamental human rights in the face of the escalating climate crisis. It underscores the power of citizen action in holding governments responsible for their climate commitments, and it highlights the increasing recognition of climate change as a pressing human rights issue. The failure of the Swiss government to address the ECHR ruling is not merely a matter of environmental policy. It's a failure to protect its citizens, a failure to respect human rights, and a failure to embrace its responsibilities in the global fight against climate change. This ongoing saga serves as a cautionary tale for other nations, emphasizing the crucial need for immediate and decisive action to tackle the climate emergency before it's too late. The world is watching, and the consequences of inaction are increasingly severe and undeniable. Sign up to Down to Earth and stay informed about the critical developments in the fight for climate justice and the protection of human rights.